Hello there, we're back again, and in this video we are going to talk to you how we give feedback on the writing tasks in our course. As you know, when you take the IELTS test, you have to write 2 essays, and in our course you will learn everything you need to do to perform well in the test. Task 1 and Task 2 are very different. They have different objectives. In Task 1 of the test, they want to assess your capacity to interpret one image and write a report about that image. And in Task 2, they want to test your ability to give your opinion about a specific topic. So you need to understand that you will need different strategies, different approaches to do each of them. And here in this video, we are going to show you how we give you feedback, or how we show you what you have done well and what you need to improve in your writing tasks. Our feedback is a report made up of 3 pages. Let's have a look at page 1. This is the example of the first exercise you're gonna do in the course. I'm still writing this report, but it's gonna be enough to show you how it works and how you can benefit from it. So, in the first part of the report, as you can see, there is some personal information that you provide us. There is your name, your email address, the task you are writing for, and the exercise you are doing. Also, as you can see, there is band score you aim. It's very important that you let us know what is the band score you are trying to get, because based on that, we will write the report. You are going to understand it better as we move ahead. So the second part of our report is the assessment criteria. So as you can see, we use as a reference the criteria in which you are going to be assessed in the real test, in the IELTS exam. There are 4 criteria, which are task achievement, coherence and cohesion, lexical resource, and grammatical range and accuracy. During the course, we study each of these criteria in detail. We don't have time to do this right now because it's gonna demand a long time for you to understand it. There is also a brief description of each criteria and then our comments. We have 5 different comments, which are yes, mostly, partially, little, or no. These comments are answers for questions. For example, is the essay successful in the task achievement criteria? It can be yes, mostly, partially, little, or no. And then we're going to comment. So in this part of the report, you have a clear idea of what you have achieved or not in your writing task. Then there is the comment section, which is one more detailed explanation of what you have achieved or not in your writing task. In this example, we show where the student was successful. For example, they used appropriate language for the task, they used appropriate cohesive devices, the organization of the text is also logical, and then we show points that the student needs to improve, as you can observe here. In this case, his introduction was not satisfactory. Also, he omitted important information, and he made some grammar mistakes which we are going to point out as well. This is the first page of our report. Then there is this page. This is the official band score descriptor. So we're going to base on these descriptors to see if the essay that the student wrote is according or not to the band descriptor they need. That's why it's important the student informs us the band score they need to take, because based on that, we will provide the feedback. In this case, he aims at taking a band 8, which is an advanced band score. And here, there is everything you need to do or to present in your essay in each of the criteria, the 4 criteria, in order to be successful in the task. In this case, in task achievement, for you to get a band 8, your essay needs to cover all requirements of the task sufficiently, present, highlight, and illustrate the key features or bullet points clearly and appropriately. In this case, his task achievement is partial. He didn't cover everything that is required. In coherence and cohesion, we need to sequence information and ideas logically, manage all aspects of cohesion well, and use paraphrasing sufficiently and appropriately. This is covered in his task. In lexical resource, you need to use a wide range of vocabulary fluently and flexibly to convey precise meaning. Skillfully uses uncommon lexical items, but there may be occasional inaccuracies in word choice and collocation, and produces rare errors in spelling and/or word formation. The student is also successful in this criteria, lexical resources. He uses a wide range of vocabulary, uncommon terms, and it's essentially free of mistakes. And grammatical range and accuracy. To be successful, you need to use a wide range of structures. The majority of sentences are error-free, and make only very occasional errors and inappropriacies. His essay is a little bit faulty because he makes some important grammar mistakes for this band score. Maybe if his objective was to get a lower score, this wouldn't be so relevant. But for this score that he wants to reach, he makes some important mistakes in terms of grammar. So this is the second page of our report. And the last part of the report is the essay with some comments we make. Just to illustrate it, I'd like to show you the task he needed to do. Here you can see a very common mistake that people make. This is one of the most common mistakes that basically happens when people don't understand the task. In other words, they don't know what it's being asked for them to do. Let's have a look. The heading is: the chart below shows the number of men and women in further education in Britain in 3 periods and whether they were studying full-time or part-time. Then the next part is the task you need to accomplish. Summarize the information by selecting and reporting the main features and make comparisons where relevant. So here is the key point of this task. What is the task? It's basically summarize the information that you have in this graph and make comparisons. In many cases, students try to make a very complex, very elaborate thing, and they don't do what the task is requiring from them. Let's have a look. This is the text that the student wrote. If you'd like to read it, I will amplify it here. You can pause the video, read, and then you continue. As I mentioned before, what you are supposed to do in this task is basically summarize the information that the graph is showing you and make comparisons. As soon as we start it, we can visualize one problem. Have a look at this. He starts with, education is fundamental in any society and country to make it more qualified and evolved. Then in another moment there is, further education in turn is fundamental to this growth. Alright, what's the problem here? Everybody knows the importance of education and how it can bring growth to any country. This is a fact. But this information is not present in the graph that was shown in the task. This means that these phrases are part of the student's background knowledge. He didn't learn it in the graph he analyzed, but he brought this knowledge with him to the test. And this is not supposed to happen in this task. The task is summarize the information and make comparisons. This is an opinion or it's background information that he brought, which is not part of the task. So these 2 sentences, although they are well written, they use good language, they use good vocabulary, they are going to lower the score of this task. That's why it's fundamental you understand what you are required to do in the task. To contrast this, I have separated these 2 phrases. Over time, we can see that there is a big difference in education between men and women. This is a fact shown in the graph. Also, studies indicate that the education of men in part-time suffered a slight oscillation in the comparison between women from the 1970s to 1990. It's also a fact. Although there are some changes, some needed changes here, it is a fact. And finally, there is some grammar mistakes that we pointed out. In this case, he wrote, "The education of women has been growing during this period," a period that he mentioned before, from 1970 to 1990. So it's not correct to use the present perfect continuous in this case. He should have used past simple, right? These are some comments that we're going to submit to the student so he can analyze what he has done, and then in the next exercise that he's going to do, he can apply these corrections. So this is a brief video that I decided to do to show you how we are going to correct your essays when you enroll to our course. As I told you, this is not finished yet. I still have some comments to make, but to not prolong this video too much, this is just for you to have one idea of what you're going to do. So if you want to learn how you should answer task 1 and 2 in IELTS test, and you'd like to receive feedback like this, I invite you to enroll to our course, and I'm sure you are going to develop a lot and be much better prepared when you sit IELTS test. If you still have any question, send me a message or an email and I'll be glad to answer you. This is it for today. Thank you very much. I see you next video.